I appreciate that, and I'm hopeful that my team has given 3 letters that I would like to submit for the record to our friends on the other side of the aisle, but if not, I will certainly tender those so they can take a look at them, but I would ask unanimous consent for these 3 letters to be introduced. One letter is spearheaded by neurosurgeons, anesthesiologists, pain physicians, spine doctors, orthopedic surgeons, and others. These physician organizations have been great stewards of the Controlled Substances Act, and mention that the temporary schedule classification of illicit analogs is not a sustainable or rational approach. In other words, not doing it temporarily is not rational. The other 2 letters are support letters from law enforcement agencies and urge passage of the Halt Fentanyl Act. So after our colleagues have had a chance to take a look at that, I would ask for unanimous consent. That said, let me also set the record straight on something that was just said, and while it is of concern that health centers in Virginia may have closed, my understanding is all that's getting worked out, but further, it was said that 2 in my district had closed. That is not accurate. And so I just want to get the record straight. We've been monitoring that situation. One of my health centers did report that they had had some difficulty accessing a site, but it did not cause closure, and we believe that they should have that resolved shortly. But no closure has resulted that I'm aware of in my district, and so if somebody has better information, please provide it to me. Dr. Westlake and then Sheriff Bouchard, I'm going to come to you. I'm switching gears from what I was talking about. So I have concerns. My wife is a juvenile and domestic relations district judge in the Commonwealth of Virginia. She's seeing concerns. So I want to know what your concerns are in your lines of work about the impact of unregulated, intoxicating hemp products on our kids. And a follow-up would be, what do you think we need to do to create a regulatory framework to allow lawful products to come to market? I've been working with the FDA on that, so I've got some ideas there, but I just want to know what you all have seen about these unregulated, intoxicating hemp products on our children.
We have not seen a huge number of hemp products now since we have legalized marijuana in our state. But what we have seen is an adulteration even of marijuana products, and prior to that, hemp, with other kinds of synthetics and other kinds of drugs like fentanyl. So we've actually found outside of our supply chain, if you will, the legal supply chain of marijuana in our state, illegal marijuana has been tampered with and has fentanyl in it. And so we've seen all of these things really need a regulated, inspected process, and I would encourage that to happen both with hemp and with marijuana.
Let me do a follow-up before I go to you, Dr. Westlake. Let me just do a quick follow-up. So one of the problems we've seen in our region is THC gummy bears, or gummy bears that are supposed to have CBD, and then there's a unregulated, unknown amount of THC in there, and kids get a hold of them and they think they're candy, and then they overdose. And when I say overdose, I'm not talking about deaths at this point, but there have been some indications there may actually have been some brain damage. Are you all not seeing that in your region? Is that just a Virginia problem?
No, we're actually seeing that as well. In fact, there's PSAs in our region and among a number of states that have legalized marijuana and components like gummies, advising kids and parents about that and how to store it and the dangers of it. And there's some discussions about trying to make some of these gummies not look like little characters that attract a kid, or the packaging that attracts children because they think it might be candy or it might be vitamins, but in fact, it has a drug component.
And it really would be helpful if we could get some guidance from the FDA, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Westlake, same questions.
Great. Yeah, I personally saw some marijuana poisonings last week from gummies. I've seen it in the past. I mean, kind of 2 or 3 episodes last week alone. It's illegal in Wisconsin, but it comes up from Illinois and from Michigan and from around. And the other part we see is the fentanyl-laced marijuana. I've had overdoses from that. And we're also seeing that with what you're talking about with like CBD that's unregulated. People come in and they don't know what's going on, and it turns out that they're intoxicated from marijuana that they thought they were just taking because there's no quality controls or oversight over that.
All right, I appreciate that. Dr. Westlake, can you, and I'm switching back now to Halt Fentanyl, can you explain, because we've heard about the scheduling side, and there's some disagreement on that, but I really like the part, of course, it's my bill, so it's natural I would like but I like the part that allows for research to go on the 4,800 estimated analogs or fentanyl-related substances. Can you tell us what you think about that and how you think that we ought to go forward with that?
Yeah, I think it's a huge, thank you for your leadership on the bill. It's a huge benefit to open up Schedule I research. I think there's not been a lot of research on Schedule I drugs because of that. So this will be a huge boon to that. And that's why it was signed off on by NIH and HHS and FDA. There's some initial concerns about whether it would be too restrictive, but because of the way we designed the language, it really has only affected those that are bioactively, with structure-activity relationships, bioactively likely to be active.
I really appreciate it. It's part of why I really like the bill. I yield back.